This is John Bailey, the epic voice of Honest Trailers, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. It's a Fangirls podcast with five-ish people. The tangents and squee will continue. Squee.
The tangents and squee continue all the way to episode 414 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. Ugh, why did it have to be mushrooms? I hate mushrooms. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you join us. Let's start off like we do every week with virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin.
And this is me, Rachel, in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Good one.
Trying to limit the really cheesy Italian accents, but can't make any promises.
Oh goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Like everyone who was complaining that Chris Pratt was voicing Mario, it's like, okay, but you want to have a whole movie of Mario sounding like that? I mean, it's cute for the video games, but maybe not like, with dialogue and...
Right.
Yeah.
But,
we'll get to that. First up, we need to do the news. So, with a little bit, some convention-related news. For those GenCon attendees or wannabe attendees, they're still going to be doing GenCon online. It's still going to be a thing. Badge registration for that is going to begin on May 7th, and once again, completely free. So, granted, you're not getting the full GenCon experience, but you're getting something. So,
Right.
You get a taste of it.
Yeah, you get a taste of it. There's some games that can be played online and the like. So if you want to do GenCon online, mark your calendar such, which works out well because on May 7th, the event catalog goes live. Whee! So
And Rachel, how many panels are you going to be on?
I do panels really at GenCon, so
Okay. I couldn't remember which one you did panels on, so
yeah, GenCon not so much. So attend sometimes. I've never actually been on a panel at GenCon, so not that can't change at some point in the future, but
right. Never say never.
Exactly. But the event catalog will go live May 7th, so that will be your opportunity to browse, and peruse, and make your lists so that when actual event registration opens up on May 21st, you can hit the submit button on your wish list and cross your fingers, cross your toes, and hope that you get all the things you want.
Always a crapshoot.
Yes.
That ladder wheel around she goes. Where it stops, nobody knows.
There's some events that are very, very, very popular. So
Let's go draw.
Yep. So yeah, even though GenCon's not till August, it'll be here before we know it. So, and then also keeping it local, PopCon, although PopCon-Louisville is coming up really quick because it's like 2 months from now. So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun either way. But of course, both PopCons still making guest announcements. You can go to PopCon's website. It's got both Louisville and Indy with guest lists for both, how to get tickets, hotels, all that fun stuff. You can submit panels for both of those too. So, but we're having a returning guest, because she was at PopCon Indy a couple of PopCons ago, but Emily Swallow, who plays the Armoror on The Mandalorian, is going to be returning to the PopCon shenanigans, and this time in Louisville.
Very cool.
Yep. And then for Indy, submissions are now open for the PopCon Podcast Awards. So now is the time to get in at the lowest entry fee price, because the cost will go up as we get closer. I'm presuming I'm going to be judging again, so I will not be submitting, at least the Fiveish Fangirls. Yeah. So there's that. And then over in Chrissy's neck of the woods, Salt Lake Fan X is picking up with the nice little Back to the Future cast get together.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I saw that and I was like, ooh. So yes, we're getting Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thompson, I believe, is coming.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So,
and Tom Wilson.
And Tom Wilson, yes. I was a little bit like, oh, they got Marty and Doc, but yes. So the main four who were kind of the core of the movies, they're coming. So very exciting, very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into getting autographs at the very least. Not really into photo ops personally, just because I don't feel like you get. This is a personal thing. It's like, you're in, you're out, you're gone. Whereas with autographs, you at least get to talk for a minute.
Yes.
So, so I like that personally. So, but do what you want to do. It's all to you. But I'm very excited because Back to the Future is like one of my favorite all-time movies, trilogies.
Yes.
And it's just so good. When we talked about it way back forever ago, it seems like. So
yeah,
look up that review for.
Yeah, when we hit, I think it was like within our first year, because it was 2015.
Yeah.
So we did it on when Marty goes to the future in 2015.
Yeah, I was still in my living in the one house with all the roommates. I wasn't even married yet. And I remember Chauncey was on that episode. So
yes, he was.
Yeah, so yes, go listen to me and Chauncey and all of us gush about Back to the Future.
I love Back to the Future.
I love it too.
The trilogy is great, but definitely the first movie is almost a perfect movie. So
yes, it's wonderful. Anyway, and that reminds me, I'm actually due for a rewatch, so I should do that. Anyway, yes. So the gang's coming to Salt Lake. So if you are in the area and want to meet all of the above, go get your tickets, because who knows when this, if or when this would ever come back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I know Tom Wilson has been doing the convention circuit.
Yes,
somewhat.
He's been doing it for a long time, but Christopher Lloyd, he is getting up there in years.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Michael J. Fox's health is not going to get any better. So,
which given how long since he went public with the diagnosis,
Parkinson's,
I'm like, Parkinson's. He's done fairly well for himself.
I mean, he's still getting out and doing stuff.
Yeah,
so that's really good. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it too. Is just keep yourself busy instead of just sitting there and letting.
Yeah, and he does a lot of
whatever
charity work for research and things like that. So that is really cool. So it's like So I'm excited. To see them all, and I hope I will be able to get into their panel, because I'm sure it's going to be a packed house. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, that is exciting. And then Apparently he's found a break in his busy schedule of planning his weddings, killing his bride, blaming another country for it. Chris Sarandon is gonna take a break from the pit of despair to come to Salt Lake.
Yes, that too. Also, and
Gilda to frame for it.
Yes, Gilda, and I'm stumped. But yeah. Also, I have to bring this up because I only discovered it recently. Did you know he was actually the speaking voice for Jack Skellington?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, you did. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, Jack doesn't have a lot of just spoken lines in that movie. Because Danny Elfman wasn't Danny Elfman.
He's the singing voice.
He
Yeah.
did the singing voice. There's a lot of singing from Jack Skellington, not a lot of speaking. But if you're speaking words, it's Chris Sarandon.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so I'm the only one who's like, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He walked by me actually while I was waiting in line for Dave Bautista in Louisville in 2019, and Bautista, they had him so that he was up against a wall, and on that wall that we were lining up against was the door that would let the celebrities and stuff go like backstage. Quote unquote backstage. So they kept coming through to either go through the door to go backstage or we're coming back. So I had like Red Spider came by at one point, but then Chris Sarandon like walked right in front of me, and in my head I'm like, right this way, you know, Prince Humperdinck.
Well, you were.
Please don't put me in the pit of despair.
There, yes.
Yeah.
Please don't suck an hour of my life away, even though it'll probably be better than what it would be in the film.
Yeah.
Challenge him to the pain.
Yeah. I'm not from Gilda. I'm just visiting. So, but yeah. So yeah. That should be fun. You guys always get some really good guests. So, and of course they've just started with their guest announcements.
Yeah, because the con isn't until September, which I keep having to tell my kids.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't think there's any like billboards or ads for it yet. But every once in a while they say, "Can we go to Fan X?" And I'm like, "Well, in September we can. I want to go to Fan X." Well, we can't. It's not going on right now. We will go.
Yeah.
We have tickets. But we're not going to go right now because it's not happening. I want to go to Fan X.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have kids and you take them to things and they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And like usually
sense of time, not quite there yet.
No. And I'm like, maybe because there have been cases of like, oh, here's just this one random billboard from last year that for other reason they didn't take down, so we'll be driving by like Fan X, let's go to Fan X. I'm like, oh gosh. As though I have to explain to them, not until September. And I have to explain, we have Daddy's birthday, Mommy's birthday, we have our trip to the lake, we have Alex's birthday, and then it's Fan X.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, ah. But you know, they love it. They're looking forward to it. So okay, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
Well, at least they're excited to go back again. So that's
which
right
is good because when
you're doing something right.
Yeah. When we went last year, it was very overwhelming for both of them. But I think maybe they'll be a little better this year. It'll probably only take them one day, but because it is a lot for little ones. But
it's overwhelming for us grown-ups sometimes. So
this is true. Sometimes you're like, I'm here now. What?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do? Where do I need to go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there is that, and of course we alluded to this because Marvel let us know it was coming right before we recorded last week. But as promised, last Tuesday we got our first look at the Marvels, which looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Oh my goodness. Because you got Kamala Khan, who's just like super excited about everything.
Mm-hmm.
because she's young, and I mean, obviously, we saw what she went through in her series on Disney Plus, so it's not like she's like, and she's a huge fan of the Avengers as a whole, so it's not like she's ignorant to like the dangers that are out there. But at the same time, she also has that teenage enthusiasm. So when like Nick Fury shows up at her house, she's like, woo!
It's like, look what I can do, and I immediately transport myself into a dangerous situation. It's like, did not think this through, did you?
Yeah, and then Carol is like, what the flirkin, and Captain Rambo is just like, I ain't got time for this. Yeah. So,
seems like it's going to be a bit of a comedy of errors.
Yeah, but it's like, we've got these three amazing, powerful heroes that are going to eventually team up once they figure out how to stop replacing each other. Where they are.
Yeah.
Nick Fury also very much like Captain Rambo, and I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah, usually when Nick Fury is involved, nobody got time for this shit.
Yeah. And then we got Skrulls, we got the return of Goose, and then even more Flurkins. There's a whole litter of Flurkins.
Yes, yeah, and a little bit. The Lethal Weapon line that Danny Glover says, "I'm getting too old for this shit," is kind of came to mind too. It's like, oh, feel ya.
Yeah.
Nick Fury's like, this is why I had the Skrull replace me last. Before
retirement was so nice up until a certain point.
Yep.
Like it worked until it didn't.
Yep. Oh, but it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun, so I'm excited. Of course, it's something related to the MCU, so I'm gonna be excited anyway. But
yes, just ignore all the poo-pooers. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, well, and it is exciting to have not one but two Disney Plus characters move to the big screen. Yes, we had child Monica Rambeau in Captain Marvel, but that was child Monica Rambeau. This is adult Monica, who we've only had in WandaVision, and then Kamala Khan, who we had in Miss Marvel. So it's also very exciting to see. Like, oh, you were on my computer, now you're going to be in a movie theater. So it's exciting. There is that. And then in your feeds, you got the latest episode of Gold Standard, where we are firmly now stepped over the line into the 2000s with the 2001 Best Picture winner, A Beautiful Mind. So we get back-to-back Russell Crowe films.
Yay!
Yeah. And our third Russell Crowe film overall.
Go check that one out.
Interesting.
The podcast, not necessarily the movie, but if you want to watch the movie, that is up to you.
Yeah. Oh. That. So, moving on to feedback. Got some feedback from Charlene. Says, first, let's do Star Wars news. I'm excited for the Ahsoka TV series. You and me both, sister. I've watched all seasons of Star Wars Rebels. I'm going to go back and rewatch it. I will too. Good thing I have until August. Before Ahsoka, I wonder if Bryce Dallas Howard will be directing any episodes for this series. I don't know. I don't know what else Bryce Dallas Howard is doing directing-wise in Star Wars outside of Mandalorian. So,
I mean, she's proved she can do it. I would love, if they offer her a chance, I would love to see her take it.
Yeah, someone give that woman a movie in the Star Wars universe. ASAP, or at least, put her on retainer so when, cross my fingers, cross my toes, Grogu finally gets to move into the motion picture.
Yes. It'll be under her direction.
I don't know. The problem is, I don't know if my feels could handle a motion picture length anything with Grogu in it, because every time Bryce Dallas Howard directs an episode of The Mandalorian, Grogu is like extra cute, and
Yes.
I don't think I could handle it. First world problems.
Prepare yourself for all the memes.
Yeah. And then she asks, also, isn't Skeleton Crew created by the guys who did No Way Home? Kind of. You're sort of correct in that. Skeleton Crew is being done by John Watts and Christopher Ford. John Watts has directed all of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. And then Christopher Ford is a screenwriter, producer, and actor, and has collaborated with John Watts on Spider-Man Homecoming. So one is very entrenched with the Spider-Man movies. The other maybe not so much, but still. So yeah. So you're kind of right. Yeah. So going back to musicals, I forgot to mention one of the casts on the Beetlejuice musical tour used to be the artistic director at the Utah Shakespeare Festival. He also directed some of the shows and acted in some of the shows. That's cool.
Well, I do know that the Shakespeare Festival, they get a lot of big names, and I think a lot of their alumni go on to some really big stuff too. So that does not surprise me.
Mm.
So kind of a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. She says also Matilda got a Hairspray vibe, where it wasn't a musical, then became a stage musical, then got a movie musical on Netflix. Yeah. That is true. Although the Hairspray musical movie was not a direct to Netflix, but I get the point. It's actually currently on YouTube, free with ads.
Well, there you go.
Hairspray, not Matilda. Matilda's on Netflix. Now let's go to My Neighbor Totoro. I've seen this movie once, and it was with the Fanning sisters dub version. So plus, I think the late Pat Carroll is better at playing villains than a nice old lady. Yeah, I mean, if you only know Pat Carroll as Ursula, and then you hear that voice coming out of a character that's not a villain, it is a little weird.
Might I suggest there is a Christmas episode of Garfield from way back when, and Pat Carroll plays Grandma. You can probably find the scene at the YouTube or elsewhere. It's just, she's talking to Garfield at the end, and it's very sweet. It's about her late husband, and it is like tear-jerking levels of, it's and this came out of a Garfield cartoon from early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So yeah. So if you can't, if you're feeling a little weird hearing Pat Carroll not play a not villain, and I get it, I understand, but go find that scene, because that'll jerk the heartstrings, but in a good way.
Good to know. Let's see where we so also in the 1993 dub version, May is voiced by Cheryl. I can read. Cheryl Chase, who is the voice of Angelica Pickles on Rugrats. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a little bit, and we've talked about it when talking about the other Studio Ghibli when they do the dubs. That they like to use a combination of well-known names so they can put those on like the poster and people will be like, oh, whoever,
it must be
Michael
good
Keaton
because
or
that
whatever.
person.
Yeah. Like, oh, Dakota Fanning. But then they'll also pull from the pool of voice actors, well-used voice actors, so that they know what they're getting in the way of talent. So yeah, there's a lot of your Tara Strongs, your your Cheryl Chases, your Jim Cummings, take your pick of like, hey, wait a minute, I know that voice. So so yeah. So also when I saw a promo of My Neighbor Totoro, trying to gather what she's trying to say here. So also when I saw a promo of My Neighbor Totoro, I was sad the movie, I think she means, didn't show a scene where the girl Totoro and the cat bus are making sounds together.
Hold on a second. I know.
Yeah.
I will pull it up, see if I can.
I've seen. Yeah. So I don't know. There aren't missing scenes because Miyazaki didn't want anything cut. So
no, it wouldn't have been cut. I mean, there are some. I mean, there's always some that like.
There may have been like little like stuff they made just for promotional reasons, though.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll watch trailers and like there'll be scenes there that don't make it in the movie for whatever reason. Yeah, I think she didn't show a scene.
Yeah,
because it's like they're the girl, like Totoro makes this big roar sound and the girls do it and they do it back and forth. So I don't know that it was in the movie. I'm not sure. But yeah,
I don't remember it being in the movie, but
I don't remember either.
I've slept since then, so
I don't know. I can go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, I've only ever seen it once.
I mean, there's a lot of amazingly cute stuff in there, and sometimes if you put too much in there, everyone's gonna just die of cute. So
that's true. That is true.
That's not scientifically proven, but sometimes I think, gosh, it's got to happen sometime.
Again, it's the Grogu problem.
Yeah.
They make him any cuter, I might just die. So. So plus in the 2005 dub version, they had other famous voice actors, like we were saying, Tess McNeil, Rusty Taylor. Yeah, they use. Yeah. So they know what they're doing when they're like, okay, time to make this American.
They have their database of voice actors that they call up and say, hey, come help us out. You want a paycheck?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, nowadays they don't even necessarily need to be like, hey, come over here. You want to earn a paycheck? I'd be like, hey, can you find some place to record? Here's the script.
Here's some lines. Fire up your recording software on your computer and then upload it to Dropbox or whatever, and we'll get it in there.
Checks in the mail.
Although I will say with anime, when you're dubbing, you do have to make sure that your voice, what you're saying matches the lip movements. Otherwise, it just looks like it's poorly dubbed. Yeah. You all know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So there is an extra layer of that to it, but
it's the cliche that you see get made fun of with Japanese movie, especially like the B level like monster movies, or you see them like make fun of them, like Saturday Night Live or whatever, where it'll be like the mouth is moving really really fast, about just doing 1,000,000 miles a minute, and then you hear the dub voice go, "Oh no!" Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously said way more than that.
Yeah, I feel like Whose Line Is It Anyway had a
they do that a lot too.
They did that where the people on stage would just move their mouths and the people off stage would just make up stuff, and Anyway.
Yep.
There we go.
I did love My Neighbor Totoro. It was cute. I love little girls in Totoro. It was fun to see Totoro's cameo in Toy Story 3. Yep. Speaking of Toy Story 3, I forgot Michael Keaton was in the first Cars. Keaton. Also, there's a Simpson episode where it shows all the Simpson characters living in a Studio Ghibli film. I saw this before Disney bought Fox, and I thought Disney owned Studio Ghibli. I thought Disney did own Studio Ghibli, but not anymore. No, I don't think they ever owned them. They just own the distribution.
They own the distribution rights in North America.
Right.
I think
it's not the same as owning the actual studio.
No. I think the suggestion that Disney would own Studio Ghibli would probably give Miyazaki a heart attack. So please don't do that.
Yeah. No, they've we've I think tried to discuss this before when contemplating releases for other things and how things is, especially now we're getting more of these streaming services, and it's just like it's
like follow the rights.
I would say ownership means it's not a one-all be-all.
Yeah, I mean, I know
these days. So
Disney buys everything that isn't nailed down, but they don't own Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, they just own the North American distribution rights of the movies that they dub.
And then HBO. Well, now it's Max, but Warner Brothers has the streaming rights. So again, it's complicated.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many YouTube videos or something that could map it out for you. And
probably
I refer you to them.
Yeah.
That is not a rabbit hole that I have the bandwidth to go down.
Yeah. I'm not a corporate lawyer. I don't need to know these things. So
just tell me where it's streaming or how I may own the Blu-ray, DVD, whatever copy of this, and I will be happy.
Exactly. But that is the end of Shalane's feedback. Thank you for your feedback and your questions. Hopefully we answered them so that the clear as mud.
Yeah. Or at least refer to you to somewhere you can find answers.
Yes. So, all
anyway.
right. Yeah. Moving on to this week's main topic, and if Alex was just a little older,
we'd get him on here, but
we could get him on here as a voice of the newer generation of fans, but
he would
not quite there
still
yet.
Long enough.
Yeah,
but I will try. I will do my best to speak.
Yes,
that's what I observe, and I'm a fan.
Considering this franchise as we know it is now 40 years old. If you don't count the OG Donkey Kong video game where he was originally referred to as Jumpman, although he did eventually get the name Mario while Donkey Kong was the only game. With some of the promotional materials, he was referred to as Mario. But the Mario Brothers franchise that we know and love is 40 years old because the first Mario Brothers game came out in 1983. The same year I was born.
Yes, and it was a very, very simple, just jump and grab the bad guys sort of thing. Right. It wasn't like the whole Mushroom Kingdom, save the princess. I mean, if you think the very first, Super Mario Brothers for the NES in '85, you thought that plot was thin on the ground? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
that first little one. Whew. Yeah, that one's very much it. Now it'd just be a mobile game.
Yeah. With
Yeah.
Jumpman, does that kind of deal with like you had to paint certain sections? Because I kind of vaguely remember.
No, with the Donkey Kong, it was the it looked like scaffolding, and the Donkey Kong was at the top throwing the barrels, and you had to climb. And there were other stuff that would get thrown too, like banana peels and random household objects.
I mean, if you've seen Wreck-It Ralph, it's basically Fix-It Felix is very much an homage to that.
Right. For the life of me, there's one game that I can't remember if it's Nintendo based, but it almost looks similar to Mario, but instead there were certain sections where you had this paint roller and then there'd be these striped lines like blue and red and all that. So
that is possible.
I would say that game. Say maybe an older or newer.
There are back in the day there were, because video games were like the hot new thing. It's kind of like when apps became, well, they still kind of are, but like everybody had to make an app and put it up. So everybody had to make a video game, and there were a lot of knockoffs and a lot of a lot of copycats that weren't very good. And in fact, the video game industry in the early 80s actually kind of crashed a little bit in the very, very early 80s. This is before the big Super Mario Brothers release happened. I mean, video games were doing well in Japan, but coming over here, it was like everybody, I gotta make video games. I gotta make something. This is where we get the whole, E.T. video game that really had anything to do with the movie, but you had to make one so that you could get that out for Christmas, and it was crap, and
but it did not kill video games. It was definitely a straw on the camel's back, but
so that
you can't blame it all on E.T.
No. I'm just saying that was when that E.T. happened in the midst of all that. E.T. just happens to be one of the more infamous ones.
Yes.
So like if you look up, and I know we have a link to one of his videos in the show notes, but the Gaming Historian on YouTube, he's done a lot of deep dives on different aspects of the history of video gaming and just certain touch points and all that. And it's actually really fascinating, and he does a really good job. So we do have one we're going to link, but I would highly recommend his whole channel if you have a weekend or so to waste, because it's like excellent stuff.
Yeah.
And he knows it.
And the thing is, Holly, is that you may be thinking of a knockoff, or you could be thinking of a Mario game, because at least according to Wikipedia, so as of when the Wikipedia page was last updated by someone, there have been 256 Mario related video games.
Okay, so I might not be dreaming it.
Yeah. You might not be having the Mandela effect. It's just pinpointing the exact one you may be thinking of might be a little hard.
Right. They weren't really good with titling back then.
Yeah. There are over 20 games just with the Super Mario Brother title.
Yeah. Because they keep coming out with new consoles, so every new console has to have at least one Super Mario game, if not multiple. And now we're on to, I don't know what generation we're on. I kind of fell off the wagon because after the SNES, because my parents weren't going to buy us new. They called them all Nintendos. We're going to buy us new Nintendos every time a new one came out. So
we'll talk about the new movie here in a little bit, but I know a number of the references and Easter eggs were lost on me, because I'm pretty sure either Super Mario Brothers 3 or what was subtitled Super Mario Brothers 4, which was really Super Mario World, was probably the last Super Mario game I ever played, and that was in the early 90s. So there's a lot of characters and enemies and power-ups and stuff that are lost on me, because there's been way more released since then. I mean, the Super Mario Brothers franchise, specifically, has kind of paused in the last couple of years, because they're releasing 5 bazillion other things that also have Mario and or Luigi in them. But
yeah, what happened a lot of the time, well, for the Wii U especially, that console wasn't as popular as they had hoped, but there were actually some very good games, which kind of it makes sense if you tilt your head and squint a little bit. The like Super Mario 3D World, that was originally a Wii U game, but now it's onto the Switch. And there's a whole bunch of other ones that Mario Kart 8 is now Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch, which is the one we've been playing and loving the crap out of. But because Mario Kart, because I had friends, like I knew of the characters somewhat, because I had friends who had those other consoles, and we'd always play Mario Kart or Mario Party. So I'm like, oh, these are new characters. Oh, here's a bunch of other princesses that they've introduced, and Donkey Kong is involved, and the Toads are playable, and Wario and Waluigi and all these other things. So it just kind of snowballs from there, and then they sort of, in a sense, brought Sonic into the fold a little bit, because there is the like Mario and Sonic at the Olympics series. So every time there's an Olympics, you can get a video game and where they have all these characters competing in Olympic events wherever wherever the Olympics are being held that particular Olympic year, which is kind of insane. So yeah, anything they could stick Mario in, they did it. But that's not to say that these were like cheap, not like they didn't care so much. It's more like, let's try this out and see where it goes. And people love Mario.
Yeah.
And then we didn't even get into Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. I was gonna say, that's just, Mario obviously is the face of the franchise, but I mean, Luigi has been there since the proper Mario began. As soon as we got that first game, Luigi was there, and I guess at least as far as the early video games are concerned, Mario and Luigi are actually fraternal twins, so they're the same age.
Yeah, but even in the original entertainment system, Luigi is still, his little sprite is still slightly taller than Mario. If you look at it, which I always found intriguing, and this will sound weird because a lot of people are like, oh no, Luigi, he just, I'll make my little brother play him. No, I love Luigi. I always have. I don't even know why, because in the early games, they're functionally the same, well, other than Super Mario Brothers 2. But it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just because he's sort of the sidekick, and I like that, and I'm like, I would love to see more Luigi games. Or, some more games where Luigi is playable and not just as player 2. Like I can choose between, but maybe that's a thing for Mario Maker. But anyway, yeah, I know I'm all over the place because I'm like, I've been watching so many videos and looking up so many posts and looking up so many things just because we went and saw the movie. But
I had back to back today. I watched the '93 movie and then went and watched the new movie. So, but they're very fresh.
You're really on the high now. And also, like, Alex has been like, I want to watch a Mario game, and he'll pick out, like, we've been watching a lot of Luigi's Mansion lately, a lot of Mario Odyssey, which is, I think, the newest, actually brand new one. And we have 3D Land, which is so fun because you get to play the cat. And you can
nice.
I'm
a cat.
I know.
Kitty has claws.
If you're not sure where the cat suit came from in the movie, well, it's that one. And actually, the cat is a lot of fun to play. I think the cat is like tied for the Tanuki suit as my favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna say climb up walls. It's not the first time that Mario's had a costume that gave him special abilities. So
yes. I know, it's like trying to pick my favorite. I'm like, Tanuki or the cat? I'm not sure. the Tanuki's just cute, and you can fly for whatever reason. And I think I played Super Mario World for the SNES the most, but I still cannot get the cape to work the way it's supposed to. Like I can do the fly and then boom, but I cannot do the and like control it so you can float through the whole level. I can't do that. And
it took.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got the cape to work.
Close, but it took some finesse with the button pushing and the moving of the controller at the same time.
Yeah.
To get it to work.
It's tricky. I do better as long as I have Yoshi.
Yes. Yeah. Well, then you had to be careful so Yoshi didn't get hit, so you had to lose him and go chase him down. It's like, I know. Buddy, get back here.
So I have to tell you a funny story. So when we were growing up, somehow we started calling him Yoshi Baby. Just Yoshi Baby. We found him, and then when I was playing, I was playing Super Mario World with my kids, and they were saying, "I'm like, look, that's Yoshi," and I go, "Yoshi Baby." So now they think his name is Yoshi Baby.
Aww.
That's what I call him, and I'm like, I'm not correcting them.
No,
because I'm like,
I mean, considering Yoshi was supposed to be a placeholder name.
Yes.
When the character was created and they were going to give him a proper name, but then the name just got stuck.
It's stuck, which, can you imagine any other name for that little green dinosaur, but then there's also other colors of Yoshis.
Yeah.
That little precious
OG Yoshi is green though, so.
Yes. And so it's like his name and is his species. It's just full of all Yoshis.
Yeah.
Yes. Our dinosaur shaped cinnamon roll.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, he's so important to the franchise that it's like even the extremely shitty 93 movie, as disconnected as it is from the source material, still managed to put Yoshi in some version. So like they even realized that having Yoshi in there was important.
Yes.
Now the funny thing about Yoshi is that he came about because I can't remember if it was Shigeru Miyamoto, who's the creator of Mario, or if it was somebody else on the design team. They really wanted Mario to ride a dinosaur.
I think it was I can't remember the guy's name, but it was another designer.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't Miyamoto. Okay. But the NES didn't have the capability of putting that in the game. When the Super Nintendo, the SNES came about, that had the power to do it. So like, yep, we're giving him a dinosaur, and so they did. And so Super Mario World, it came out in 90.
Because it got pushed
back. And then the movie came out in 93.
Yep.
So when I saw the promos for the movie, and it's like Super Mario Brothers, and they're like, and they show the Daisy with Yoshi, I'm like, I need to see this movie because they have Yoshi in it. My mom would not let me see that movie because she said it was too scary. She already let me see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in theaters, which I loved. I was not scared of that, which I had no idea what she was talking about. But I didn't get to see that movie till years later when it was on TV.
I would say that the 93 movie, as far as like the scare level, is probably on the same level as like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I mean,
as far as like how scary like the creatures and stuff are. Because I mean, it's a lot of dinosaurs. It's supposed to be this whole alternate dimension world that's connected to ours, where dinosaurs didn't die when the meteor hit. So
and it's also kind of cyberpunk. I mean, I don't know if we called it cyberpunk back then. I know Blade Runner was definitely a popular thing, so they were kind of ripping off of that. I mean, in fact, we're kind of bouncing around here, so maybe we should talk about the 93 movie a little bit.
Rip off the Band-Aid.
Rip that off. So this is my thing about the movie, is, like I said, the games don't really have a plot up until you get to Super Mario World. It is, Bowser's kidnapped the princess and Mario's got to go save her. And then there's all these, and it's about playing the game, platforming, and all that stuff. So video games just didn't really have that much of a story. I mean, the characters didn't really have a backstory either. So, like, they're doing this movie, and you think, okay, it's very much a product of Hollywood at the time because they're like, what's popular? So we're gonna do cyberpunk. We're gonna have these guys we're gonna call them Mario and Luigi. We're gonna have mushrooms. There's gonna be a princess, but her name is Daisy. But Daisy did exist. I can't remember, was it Super Mario Land? It was like for the Game Boy.
And she still
I
exists.
think so.
Yeah, but she existed, so it's not like they just made her up for the movie. And then Koopas and Goombas and Toad, and then Big Bertha. And like all these things, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna do our own thing and just call it that. Oh, but they do at least, have the color code, like the jumpsuit, so Mario gets red and Luigi gets green, and they're plumbers. And it's like, okay, now we're just gonna make.
But they're definitely not twins.
No, absolutely
fraternal
not.
or otherwise. There's a significant age difference.
Yeah, some of that backstory was kind of like, okay, that's weird. But I do know where they get the dinosaur land stuff because that was from Super Mario World, which was to that point the most recent game. So like, okay, I'll give you that one. So then I watched this movie and I'm like, I don't know where you get all this, but it's stupid fun. I think if it wasn't branded as a Mario Brothers movie, it probably would have been entertaining, but because Hollywood is the way they are, they have to slap an IP onto it so that'll get people to come to the movie. But also, I don't think that this movie was strictly for children.
Oh no,
because there was probably a lot. Like
they wanted it when I was. They wanted it to cater to more the adult. Okay, so the thing with this movie is, first of all, you had a husband and wife directing who had never directed a Hollywood movie in their life, who apparently were extreme control freaks, but then wouldn't speak to each other about what they wanted to do as far as directing is concerned. And they get to set and they'd just be like fighting with each other about what they were going to do, because both wanted to do what they wanted to do. It would not give.
Oh. When you hear interviews with the actors who are in this movie talking about this, you feel so bad for them. It's like,
oh yeah. There's a quote that I can't even read with Bob Hoskins from 2011.
Oh,
he drops. He has so many F-bombs in it.
Quite a few colorful metaphors.
That my favorite was Dennis Hopper went on to one of the late night shows. This was like years later, and was talking about it, and like his son had watched the movie, and he was like, "Dad, why did you do that?" And he was like, "Well, I needed the work, I needed the paycheck. I'm your dad. I provide for you. You needed shoes." And the kid's like, there's like a beat, and then he stops. He says, "I didn't need shoes that bad."
Yeah.
Like, Dad, I'm sorry you felt like you had to do this movie for me.
Yeah. Well, apparently Bob Hoskins didn't even realize that the movie was based on a video game.
Oh, you're kidding.
Until his son took him and showed him the game that he owned it. Like dragged him to, he's like, "Come on, Dad, come here," and he showed him like the game, with his own NES.
And his dad is like, "Man, why did we do that?"
Yeah,
probably. I don't know for sure.
So but I mean, pretty much all of the people that worked on this movie, after the fact, are like, this was the most miserable production that I'd ever been. Dennis Hopper's only supposed to be there for 5 weeks. He ended up being there for 17. Ouch. They were constantly doing rewrites that they would just ignore, which actually isn't that weird because they did that in Lord of the Rings too. I forget who it was. I don't know if it's John Rhys Davies or Ian McKellen. It's like, I've got like a box just full of rewrites that I never even looked at because I just knew another one would be coming right behind it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like when you're trying to work in that atmosphere, it's like no wonder this movie was kind of. I mean, okay, if you're looking for something to kind of turn your brain off and just you understand this has nothing to do with the games and it's not a very good movie, but it's there's some action scenes that are kind of interesting, and some character moments that are okay. I mean, if you don't expect too much from it, it's fine. But it's just the fact that it touted itself as being based on the game, and this is like at the time one of the most popular video games. It's like, dude.
And the thing is, they missed a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
To like throw little Easter eggs and nods in there. Like when you start the movie, or at least on the DVD, you get the classic Mario theme tune.
Yeah.
And then you never hear it anywhere in the movie. So I mean, there's some spots where the music is just like, what is this crap music that you do? Why aren't you using the video game music here? It would make way more sense.
Even back then, there were some bangers from the video game. And they were
I mean,
Legend
with
of Zelda.
Super Mario World,
yeah,
because of the upgrade to 16 bits, they were able to do way more music.
Oh yeah.
So like that's why we got like some like reggae island type music.
Yeah.
And so it's like they could have easily taken the music that we know and love and adjusted it to fit the film. Instead, there's just this weird generic that kind of sounds like it could be video game music, but it's very generic sounding, and it's like, why are you not using the theme song? Why?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of give them a pass because video games were still very early days, and there's been a lot of really great video game soundtracks that have come out in that since then. Donkey Kong Country 2.
Oh god,
one of my favorites, but we'll save that for another time. But yeah, it's kind of like you have, which I appreciate about the new one, is like they took all the lessons that they learned of making the live action movie and what they did wrong. Well, Nintendo did probably. First of all, Nintendo was actually more involved, and they're like, okay, we are going to do the exact opposite. So it's like what they were doing. This is how I think about it. Kind of. Well, and it's like this is what they were doing.
There's several bits in the new cartoon where, in my mind, it's an homage to the '93 movie. That they're making references.
Yeah, which is fine because it's like it's just a reference.
It's a thing we did. And it's part of our history.
That it's it's there. It's sort of the redheaded stepchild, but there were a few things, and there are people who I'm sure there are people who genuinely like it. I don't know them.
Yeah,
I just said like it's dumb fun. It didn't ruin the franchise at all because I mean, holy crap, over 200 video games.
Yeah,
it just kind of made Nintendo gun shy about making any more later.
Well, it also made just people in general concerned whenever any studio announces, "Hey, we're going to adapt this video game into a movie."
Like, because like I said, well, back then, like I said, video games did not really have a plot, but then as you go through like the history of video games, like, well, we'll look at The Last of Us, which I haven't played, but there are people who've said that are like, that's almost a movie that you play, and which I think is why the adaptation for HBO actually did very well, is because it's got a story. Halo has a story. Fallout has a story. And even now, like some Mario and Donkey Kong and some of those more quote unquote cartoony games, now they have more story. I'm like, I have watched so many playthroughs of Super Mario Odyssey now, and I'm like, I love this story. Make this movie. This is cute. This will be a fun one for whenever you guys get to it. Or Super Mario Galaxy's got a good one. Super Mario 3D Land has got a good one. So like some of these newer ones, heck, even Mario Party, Super Mario Party, they put a story into that one. So they're kind of they've come to the point where it's like we've got the graphics and gameplay down. Now we can tell stories and make it a fun video game.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. It helps that the newer games are veering more towards RPG, so they have to have more of a plot as opposed to it's just a side scroller.
Yeah.
So
and they have more
too.
capability to do that. Although there were some Mario RPGs in the early days that had some fun story too.
Yeah.
But I look at that movie as sort of it was an interesting experiment for an industry that was very much in its infancy, and they were still trying to figure out what do we do with this. And as far, I mean, like there had been movies that had adapted books forever. There had been movies that had adapted musicals, but because those formats they've been around, and there had been I don't know what else, but yeah, video games. Still in the early 90s, still a very new thing. So I don't love the movie, but I do cut it a lot more slack than I think most people are willing to do. Just because of where it was in the history of video games, and pop culture, and
having that 20 years worth of hindsight.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, it didn't kill the franchise. It just
actually put on 30 years of hindsight. Sorry.
Yeah, 30 years of hindsight.
30 years of hindsight.
It's funny because those of us who were kids in the 90s, we probably would have responded better to an animated movie like we just got. And those were adults.
We had the cartoon TV series.
Yeah, there was a cartoon TV series which I watched.
Yeah, which I remember fondly.
Yes, that one's a lot of fun. There are still some episodes on YouTube, so if you're looking to get your Mario Brothers fix and you don't want to watch the live action movie and you've already gone to the theater, pull that up on YouTube and watch some of those Brooklyn accents. Holy cow!
Yeah, and if you can track them down, some of the old Nintendo powers had some awesome cartoon comic runs of Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda that are worth the read if you could track them down.
Yeah, those are a little trickier. We could maybe find them like digitally. I don't know. I'd have to look into that more.
Because I can remember scouring like Toys R Us when I would go in. I'd be searching and digging through the old Nintendo powers. Like, okay, I need this issue. I need that issue. I'm missing that one. I need to find out what happened.
Yes. I'm like, I want someone to compile all those comics.
Yes.
And just be like, here, and just release them. It's like, here. Nintendo Power isn't happening anymore, but we've still got the comics because there were some fun ones.
Right.
So that was happening. But yeah, so like I feel like as kids we would have responded to an animated movie, and now as adults, because I mean, okay, like there are parodies, and like I think Saturday Night Live even did this a little bit when Pedro Pascal was on
with the Mario Kart.
The Mario Kart thing. So it's like a dark reimagining of Mario, and it's like I think we should have done that now, where like all of us who were kids back then, now we're grown up, and we've done those more adult versions of franchises we knew as kids. But then again, I'm like I said, I've got my 5-year-old who is absolutely in love with Mario. He doesn't play, but he likes to watch, and he's got all the plushies. He's dressed up for Mario twice for Halloween, once at Comic-Con, and we just dressed him up for going to the Mario movie. And Lottie, she's always got to dress up as Princess Peach because she's like, she doesn't want to get left out. But yeah, so my kids love it. My kids eat it up, which is fun because it's like, here, this is something I enjoyed as a kid, and it's still going on. I still love it as an adult, and I can share it with you guys, and you get it, and you know what it is. I mean, it's funny. Like I tried to show them the Little Mermaid, the anime, the Little Mermaid from when I was a kid the other day, and they were just not really interested. Alex sat down for the last bit of it, but that's because Ursula was big and scary and fighting. Also, Sebastian was funny for him, but Lottie was just like, "No, I'm going somewhere else." So for her, it's like, it's not Disney Princess, it's Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, and Rosalina and Toadette. Like those are her those are the ones she loves, which I'm like, okay, we can go with this. I mean, it's not quite what I envisioned, quite what I pictured, but she wants to be Princess Peach, and I'm like, I'm cool with that. Especially the way they portrayed her in the movie. I thought that was very good.
Yes.
A very good characterization of that. So it's just interesting, like where my kids fall into this versus like what I was doing at their age. Because we didn't have video games when I was 5 and everything, but now, I mean, they're obviously growing up in a very different time than I am, and what is interesting for them parallels the things that I was interested in, but it's not exactly the same thing. But it all feels right, is kind of what I'm getting at. It doesn't have to be the same, and and it's kind of getting me more into it because I was into Mario, but then I also had Donkey Kong, which Donkey Kong Country 2 I played that one so much, and I love it. It's like just the right amount of Nintendo hard that it's a challenge even now because I've played it so many times, but it's not something that's going to frustrate me because I've done it, and I love the music and all those.
That one had Diddy Kong, right?
Yes, Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong was the sidekick, and I was so happy to see them in the Kong scenes. I'm like, ooh, let's get them in the next movie. Can we?
Yeah.
Or if they do a Donkey Kong spin-off sort of thing.
Yeah, I made the bad mistake of playing Donkey Kong Country when I had a sinus infection. Took my allergy meds, and then dreamt that I was literally in the game, and in order to move on, I had to conjugate Spanish verbs, and I had Diddy next to me, so if I got it wrong, boom, start over, and it's like,
Now, I have never had to conjugate Spanish verbs in a dream, but I have dreamed about being in a video game.
So I had a double whammy, or triple whammy, if you want.
You really had it there. You're like, and you wake up and you're like, no more meds right before bed.
Yes, and or video games right before.
Or video games, because it all just, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's a thing that happened. That's about all that we can. It's really funny because at the DVD from the library, you know how DVDs, they'll put like things from like reviews and stuff. All they could put is on the front. It says it's a blast from the Washington Post, and on the back it says eye-popping special effects.
Well, I kind of wonder.
I mean, you can interpret eye popping a number of different ways.
Yeah, so, I was like, what did you mean by eye popping? Like,
I can tell you the special effects have not held up in 30 years.
No. I mean, they did. I mean, the creatures was definitely creature work, so it was.
Yeah, because a lot of those were
practical
puppets.
Effects.
Yeah, they were puppets. Even Yoshi was a puppet that was capable of like 60 something different moves.
Yeah, so at least a lot of the creatures were actually there, because obviously CG was not really thing back then, or if it was, it wasn't very.
Well, I mean, because this is 93.
Early days, I should say this.
Jurassic Park was, the same time period.
Jurassic Park, it was also 93, so,
yeah.
Well, okay. Jurassic Park is a special case, because that one was the one that was like, they weren't going to get the people working on Jurassic Park to do Super Mario.
Well, yeah.
Let's say that, because these are
when you've got an unknown, untested couple directing versus Steven Spielberg.
Yes, you will give
a lot of people who know what they're doing are going to be like, I'm going to go with Spielberg, thank you.
Spielberg is going to get all the talent and all the monies.
Yeah.
These unknowns, not so much. but yeah, so don't expect too much from this movie if you ever with the live action movie if you ever watch
it's one of those where it's like if you could almost watch it and hate watch it.
Yeah.
So because it's like it had been ages. So like I didn't see it when it came out. I can't tell you how long it's been. It's been a long time since I'd seen it. So I needed to do a refresh, and watching it with fresh eyes the entire time. I'm like, what in the actual hell?
It is.
But at the same time, I also have that 30-year rear view mirror of I know the history of like cinema and video games and what they're behind the scenes type stuff and what they're capable of at the time period. So
I mean, what I think is like video games needed that time to kind of marinate and figure out what they were going to do and for the technology to catch up. But Hollywood is like popular thing. Let's go make a movie of that so we can get money. Which I'm never going to criticize someone for wanting to make something, make money and make something from a popular IP. I am going to criticize them for not doing it with any kind of care. Like if they had tried to do a straight up Mario goes to the Mushroom Kingdom, has to save the princess, and the effects were janky or something along those lines, I'd have been like, okay, but you tried. You stuck to the source material. I can forgive that. You didn't even stick to the source material, guys.
No.
You got it. It snuck in a few places and it was almost accidental, but you didn't even try that.
You done goofed up.
Yeah. And the few good moments, like I said, there are some neat character moments and a few other things that are like, okay, yeah, but like I said, that's almost accidental. So anyway, so there's that movie, a live action movie from way back when.
Yeah.
And then
30 years later.
30 years later, and now we've had movies like Detective Pikachu, which was pretty good, and the 2 Sonic movies, which is funny that Sonic got a decent movie before Mario did because there was that whole feud or rivalry, I should say, between Nintendo and Sega back in the day, which is And now and I mean, people want to say like, oh, now that Sonic got 2 success movies, now Nintendo can feel like you do that. Actually, this movie was kind of in production or was announced at least before Sonic. The Nintendo was very hands-on with this, with the Super Mario Brothers movie, the one that just came out.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo in general, they are very much like Disney when it comes to their IP.
Yeah, although they're a little less anal retentive about it, I would say.
Yeah.
They let the creatives do their thing, but then they also are kind of like, okay, make sure you don't get this wrong, or make sure it's more of a collaboration. I would say, especially in the writing and things. But they also
I've heard they could be quite anal though when it comes to like video game streamers.
Yes, that gets tricky. That does get quite tricky.
Yeah, that if you're like, I'm going to start a Twitch channel and I'm going to play Mario games because those are my favorite. Yeah, you might want to think twice about that.
Yeah, and that comes down to the copyright laws in Japan being different, and I cannot for the life of me tell you how they're different, but they're different from what they are here. And I mean, there are some that do it. Like there's the Let's Plays and things like that. But yeah, Nintendo is still very much based in Japan. They have their localization offices like Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Europe, and etc. But it is still, everything goes through the central offices in Japan, which I think is in some ways is a good thing, and in other ways it's not as good. But on the whole, as far as the games go, it's been a positive thing. I mean, it's kind of again, they've been at this for years, so it's very much a give and take, and also who's in charge. And for a long time, the man who was in charge of Nintendo was very, and I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but he was very like iron grip on everything, like just did not budge. And then he retired due to health reasons. I think he's passed away since then. And now there's other people in charge that are a little more amenable to these kinds of things, but they're still very protective of this is the story, this is who these characters are, and if you're going to do this movie, you are going to do it. You're not going to stray from our canon, so to speak, which I appreciated just because I feel. I mean, there are different ways to do it. There's like, how do I explain? I'm trying to. I know what I want to say, but it's like getting the words from my brain to my mouth is not helping. I feel like, okay, we'll use the Disney example since it's kind of the obvious one. Disney with their IP and their characters, they stick the lawyers on you is the best way I can, and it's kind of a little scary when they do it. And Nintendo does the same thing, but they do it in such a way that it's less scary, I guess. I told you I'm not getting this right.
Yeah.
But it's a little like, it's more of a we want our characters to, we want to be faithful and loyal to our characters, whereas with Disney it's like we need to make more money. Money. Where's my money? Which Nintendo does to a degree, but it's also there's also that element of the creativity that's important, which I felt came through in this film, in this movie, because it's by Illumination, which a lot of people are like, oh, they just do cheap money grubbing. Yeah,
that's my best minion.
Yeah, and which those do make money because kids love them, but they're also like the parents are just like, I just have to endure this. And and Despicable Me, those movies are fun, but it's mostly about the minions. And then they're like, oh, Illumination is doing Super Mario. What? Like, what is this? But because Nintendo was so involved, and you got like, it felt like you are getting the Mario movie that you thought you were going to get in '93. And it's like, it was a good feeling, honestly, sitting in that movie. And I know a lot of people are like, well, where's the plot? Where's the character? Where's the backstory? And I'm like,
I mean, honestly, at least some of the plot is exactly the same as the live action movie. You've got Mario and Luigi. They've got a plumbing business together, but they're not being very successful at it.
And there's a big guy that's like,
right. They accidentally stumble across the entrance to, the other world, the Mushroom Kingdom, and all the subsequent lands that go with it. And there's a princess.
Yep.
And there's a big
she
bad
is
guy.
in trouble. I mean, she's not captured, but she is in trouble. Her kingdom is in trouble.
Yeah. So, and eventually the bad guys end up back in our world. So it's like,
pretty much.
But, I mean, it's almost like the major plot beats are almost exactly the same.
Just about, yeah. But again, it's the presentation and it's the execution. And I will tell you, the minute I knew I was going to love this movie is at the beginning of the movie when they come, they've shown their little commercial, they've had their run-in with Spike, they get a phone call for a job, and they're running the job, and Mario is like jumping, and it looked like it's a scene of a side scroller platformer. And he's jumping and climbing and doing all those things, and he looks like he's in the video game. And I don't know, that goes on for like a minute or two, and Luigi is like trying to keep up, and he keeps opening the doors for him. But I'm like, this looks just like the game, and I'm like, that. I mean, some people might think, oh, like that's so dumb. Like, why did they do that? I'm like, no. This is a sign. This is a sign that like we get it. We know this is based on a game, and we're okay, and you're okay with that. We're okay with that. Let's get on with the movie. And I'm like, this is gonna. I just had the biggest grin on my face when I saw that. And then Mario and Luigi have a really good relationship. They have great chemistry together, and a lot of people have said the same thing. It's like this movie's made bank. They're gonna make another one. It's like in the next movie, put Mario and Luigi together and have them have more interactions because they were just so good. Like they got the whole brothers. I mean, the franchise is Super Mario Brothers. They're brothers, and they care about each other, and they got each other's backs, and it's so cute. I'm like, oh, you guys did such a good job with that. So more of this, please.
Yeah, they like reversed the personalities from the live action movie, but it actually fits better because Luigi actually is supposed to be kind of the more timid one.
Yeah.
In the live action, Mario's the chicken, and Luigi is like, don't trust me, I got a feeling about this,
Yeah, well, Mario in that one, he's a more practical one. It's like, this isn't gonna work, and what do you mean the other dimension? And he doesn't believe and all this stuff. And then Luigi's kind of the dreamer, like the idealist or whatever. But the Luigi thing in this one, like where he's kind of scared, like that comes a lot from Luigi's Mansion, which is about which that series of games is. He's basically busting ghosts in a haunted house or a haunted hotel, depending on what game you're playing. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense for him to be scared there. But he's also quite heroic in all the other games. So I'm like, maybe don't make that his entire personality, if you please. It's like, also I played Mario is Missing, and that one required Luigi to step up and be the hero. And yeah, that one was more educational, and they didn't always get all the facts straight. But he was brave there too, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But someone who's gotten sucked into another dimension, and your brother goes to the nice, cheery Mushroom Kingdom, and you go to, basically
the pits of hell.
Yeah.
And you have no idea where you are, and all you have is your flashlight. It's like, yeah, I'd be scared shitless too. So
that is true.
Yeah. So there's some give and take there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one
was just like this one. The fact that it's a cartoon automatically kind of makes it, a bit more appealing to look at.
Yes.
But even then, this was just like so entertaining, and like I said, a lot of the the Easter eggs and stuff, some were lost on me because I don't know the newer games. The older stuff I do, like when they're at the shop or whatever, and they see after they've watched their commercial on TV for the first time, and then the guy is playing Jumpman,
and he's also dressed like Jumpman.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And he even goes, woo! Like Jumpman.
Yeah. And he's also voiced by Charles Martinet or Martinet. Yes.
Yeah.
So they got him in the movie. He's there.
Yep. Yeah. And like once they come back to the real world, at one point Mario gets punched and he goes flying into a restaurant, and it's Punch Out Pizza. So it's like it's like some of the Easter eggs I totally got, but some others were lost on me.
So I will say this about the Easter eggs, because I thought about this, because a lot of movies that are based on, that are adapted from something else, they do the Easter eggs, and they're like, look, we did this, you love this, right? And, you've heard the term member berries. And it's like, that's all that this movie is based on, and there's not anything to it, and people kind of get annoyed because it's like, well, where's the plot? Where's this? But in this movie, some of those things, like, especially, I love how they worked in the power-ups, like the fire flower and the mushrooms and the star and the tanuki and the cat suit. And like, those are useful to the plot. Those are key elements to the plot. Even the Mario Kart with Rainbow Road, that was cool. I was like,
the minute they landed on Rainbow Road, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like, but that was like
somebody's gonna go flying off the edge of this.
Yep.
Well, they did.
Mhm.
But that was like, this is our shortcut back to the Mushroom Kingdom because we can't go the way we came. But so like there are all these things that are from the games, and then they weave them into the story, and they weave them into the plot, and they use it to build the world. So it's not just like, hey, look, you like Rainbow Road, right? Well, here we just threw it in there just for shits and giggles. And and fans of when you're a fan of something, when you're being pandered to, and you kind of feel cheap. This one didn't do that, but then there were the Easter eggs, like there's where they go by. There's the toads that are like selling antiques, and like someone says like, does it work? You just got to blow on it. So when you have those little background Easter eggs that are there to please the fans, I'm like, I'm okay with that because you have given me major plot points, Easter eggs as major plot points that work into the story. So then you can go and do if all you had done was the joke about blowing into the cartridge, and you like, ha, remember that, and been like, yeah, so. But now it's funny because I know that the story is going and it's working for me, and you actually cared enough to craft a story with these things that I like from the games. So now you can do the funny background, things in the background, which I feel like this movie really got that, and not a lot of movies do, especially because we have been in at least the last decade, probably more, of all these movies of things that are things that you grew up with. This, you love it, right? Because we did it for you. Ha ha ha! You like this? And
well, it's fun. Yeah. It's also fun seeing you could tell like how much care they went into like replicating a world that a lot of people will recognize.
Yeah, I mean, they even got Peach's.
There were a couple
right out of the game.
Yeah, there were a couple of times where they were, we'd get like a shot of the land, and because the Super Mario World is now open at Universal.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks exactly the same. Like when Mario's struggling to figure out which pipe to take.
Yeah.
There's a section in the new Mario theme park, section that it's like it looks like that. It's just a wall of pipes and stuff's just popping up and out and going this way, that way, and the other. And I'm like, this is really cool. Now I want to go to Universal and go check out the new land.
Yeah, we were watching my kids watch YouTube, and ads pop up all the time. There was one for a Nintendo Land at Universal, and usually Alex is like, skip the ad, but we're looking at that and he's just staring at it like, what is this? And I'm like,
ooh, mama.
But yeah, so it's just the world building's great. The script, I mean, yeah, there's not much plot, but the early games there really wasn't much plot to begin with, and we are starting at square one with an origin story. So
I mean, and I love how meta they get sometimes, where like when Mario and Toad get to the castle, and they're like, oh, the princess is not here, she's trying another castle.
Yes. So even things like that, like that could have just been a cheap joke, but it's actually kind of funny because the guards are actually doing their job. They're like, we're not letting you in.
Right, yeah.
And then Toad, you think he's gonna fight him, and no, he just cooked some breakfast, which apparently he did in one of the RPGs, if memory serves. Can we talk about the music for a minute?
Oh.
So the music, it's like I envy Brian Taylor. Well, first off, I can't write music, but if I could, I would have, or Brian Tyler is his name. Sorry, I misread. So I've got the soundtrack here because, like, it's like he got permission to just open the catalog of Super Mario Brothers greatest hits and say, go nuts. And oh my goodness,
he did fantastic.
If you have not bought the soundtrack, I highly recommend it.
I broke down and bought it.
Yeah, I was like, I just,
I previewed it on Spotify, and I'm just like, well, I was sitting and waiting for the movie to start, because some of the ads were just like, okay, purchase, yes, please.
Yes, and not just because, Jack Black as Bowser sings Peaches, which I thought was funny.
God, Jack Black.
Oh,
especially the singing bits. He just
stole
the show.
The show, yes,
absolutely.
And oh my God,
and the
so
actor
funny.
and the actor who played Kamek. Holy crap! I mean, I had to look because he almost sounded like Paul Schaefer from David Letterman. Because Paul Schaefer was kind of his music guy, and just the way he was acting, it was almost like he was channeling Paul Schaefer a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like nope. It's like
like all of those riffs, like all those things, like we were saying before with the live action movies. Like, why didn't you do that? They did it here, and even to the point. Now, I thought when I was watching the movie, there's that bit where they get to the Kong's jungle kingdom, and Swanky Kong is taking them to meet the king, and they play "Take on Me." I thought that was hilarious. I laughed.
Yes, I loved it. I loved it.
Then I got home and was looking up the soundtrack, and there is a track called "Driving Me Bananas," and I said that one of my favorite soundtracks, video game soundtracks of all time, is Donkey Kong Country 2. I also like Donkey Kong Country. I have all the Donkey Kong soundtracks on my phone because Dave Wise is a master. He is so good. Anyway, they had a chance to put the theme from Donkey Kong Country in this movie, and they replaced it with "Take on Me," which I liked and I laughed about, but I wish they'd have done "Driving Me Bananas" instead, because that one is like, this is Donkey Kong. This is it. And I just was like, I almost wanted to cry because I'm like, whose decision was that? Even though I thought it was funny at the time, but I'm like, I'm a little torn because I like them both. But yeah, oh my gosh, all of this was so fun. And there's also a track called "Blue Shelled" because of course there is. Just I cannot say enough about the music, and it will probably never win any awards, but it stole my heart. It was so good, and Brian Tyler just deserves all the things. I mean, obviously it's based on what Koji Kondo came up with, but he put it together for the movie, so everybody gets superstars for this, because it is so much fun. So the music's great. Download the soundtrack if you haven't already, because it's worth having. I've listened to it several times now. Makes me happy.
Yeah, when Bowser started singing the first time, and his little wizard guy, comes up, he's like, "Jam with me," and he starts playing the Bowser like castle thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, I love it.
I know. It's like when they first announced it, and they've announced the cast, and people are like, Chris Pratt, and all these other people are like,
there were several times where I kind of forgot it was Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
because he doesn't sound like Chris Pratt, but he's not, and they don't do the weird Italian accent except there at the beginning when they're talking about their commercial, and they even go meta about it. Like,
they even
too much.
They even they even make fun of themselves doing that, and it's kind of like, okay, we know people are going to complain about it, so we're going to put this joke here at the beginning, and we're going to make it okay, and it'll be fine. But I mean, if Chris Pratt, I think if Chris Pratt had not gotten the Star-Lord role and he kind of became like a voice actor, I'd be fine. He's really good at the voice acting thing. So everybody was like, why is he voicing all these characters? he's actually pretty good at it. So I don't see a problem personally.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, like Charlie Day did really well. Jack Black was amazing as Bowser. I
Yes.
mean, you kind of think like, will these things actually work? And it just, Anya Taylor-Joy, she was fun.
Well, Jack Black has also proven himself with voice acting in Kung Fu Panda.
That is true. Kung Fu Panda, yeah. But at the same time, it's like he's doing Bowser, so you have this. But he did the right balance of rowdy and also kind of charismatic, where he's got this super duper crush on Peach. He's like, maybe she'll like me if I steal the star and she'll marry me. I'm like, okay, you kind of wonder, like, why is he like constantly kidnapping the princess? Well, that's a pretty good explanation as to why. Not the best way of going about impressing the girl you like.
Nope.
Kidnapping her.
Not the best courtship ritual. I mean, I don't think that's in courtship 101 in the handbook.
Maybe it is in Koopa Land, but everywhere else.
Kidnapping, bad idea.
Yeah, don't do that. And so but he was fun. He was so much fun, and was it Keegan-Michael Key who did Toad?
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that, but I liked it. I again, it's like, we're gonna wait till we see the movie and see how the voice acting holds up. And yeah, a lot of these are celebrity, quote unquote, celebrity voice actors, but I feel like
it's kind of like what we were talking about with Studio Ghibli, where it's a combination of voice actors and some recognizable names. Like, I mean, if you're big enough fan, you know Charles Martinet, but he is a voice actor. I mean, that's his job. So
when we met him at Fan X, obviously we were
John DiMaggio. He's another established voice actor. So
like we met Charles Martinet at Fan X, and it was there because he's the guy who voices Mario and also voices Luigi and a bunch of other characters in the games, but that's why we went to see him, and he owns it, and he does great. So I was really, I was glad that they got him for the movie for these other parts. So that worked out. But again, Chris Pratt, like, he did that there was a little bit of Italian Mario accent in his performance. It blended with his own natural voice well enough that it's like, this is Mario. This is the movie version of Mario. We have video game Mario, which works for the video game, and then we have a movie Mario, and I like it. And with as well as this movie's doing, and Guardians of the Galaxy, the third one's coming out. That's probably gonna be the last one. I'm fine with Chris Pratt doing the voice of Mario as far as the movies go. And if all of the movie, if the movies that come out, the other, and if they like expanded like Donkey Kong, and I've heard a lot of people wanting Legend of Zelda, which sure. If Nintendo branches out to some other games like this, let's do it. As long as Nintendo was involved to the degree they were involved with this one, because I think you do need that steadying hand of, no, you're not gonna do that, like, don't do that, but this is okay. Then I think they've got a really good collaborative relationship here, because it was amazing. I loved it. And the critics are just salty that something
they finally
like this
got
is
it right.
well. That video game adaptations can happen and can do well. Now I still want to see how they do in future. I don't want to say, oh, they're all going to be amazing. I'm saying this one is going to be fun and crowd pleasers. So bring it on.
I mean, like you said, Illumination, they've been very successful, even with the all the Despicable Me stuff, even though I think after a while the more recognizable names start getting replaced.
After a while they're kind of like, I want to go do something else.
But
although if I did
the universe there, you can spread out. Is it Illumination that's also did the Hotel Transylvania?
No, that was Sony.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Sony.
It's like because they're kind of doing the same thing where the franchise is still going, but the big names are being replaced by people who can sound like them. So I could big names are like. I could see them, maybe doing one or two more Mario and Luigi specific, especially now that Mario and Luigi are apparently living in the Mushroom Kingdom,
which I thought was so
fun. And then they did tease Yoshi in the credit scene there with the hatching egg, which yay!
Yes.
So they could give us a couple more and then start doing spin-off, kind of like they did with the Minions, where
I mean, like we said, Luigi wasn't really in this one very much, so I would totally see them doing a Luigi's Mansion movie. That one could happen. If you get Yoshi's Island was a thing. I would love a Donkey Kong movie, although I will say my one and only complaint about the voice acting, Seth Rogen was just phoning it in. I mean, he was there was enough good that surrounded him that it didn't take away from the movie. But if there was a movie that was just Donkey Kong and he had to carry it, I don't think it would go very well.
They would have to, for this version of Donkey Kong, with his characterization where he is kind of just like this stuck up, thinks he's all that type.
Yeah.
Then Seth Rogen's perfect for that. But if they wanted to have any sort of like character development, which they kind of did give him after Mario saved his life from drowning. But if Donkey Kong's gonna continue to be like this crazy, like, late teens, early 20s frat boy, Arrested Development type character, then Seth Rogen can keep doing it. But if they want to have the character to develop any personality wise, then no, Seth Rogen can't continue to be the voice.
No. I mean, and you could they could totally do a good story, like, he's just this kind of lazy bum who just has everything handed to him, and then the Kremlings come in, steal the bananas, and he's got to go save them, and then he has to take on responsibility and do something with himself. And because there is a story there is. It's like he's got the voice acting has to be better if he's gonna carry his own movie. And then of course people have been clamoring for a Legend of Zelda movie. I don't know for I don't know how long, and so let's open this up and see what happens. But I feel like they've got a very good start, and let's not squander this, please.
No.
Yeah.
Now, for the Zelda, would you rather see live action or would you rather see animated?
I would rather see animated, just because between the Disney live action movies and Marvel and DC and just like all these very CG heavy live action things, plus Game of Thrones and some of these other live action fantasy things, I think it would work better in animation, just because it would have the look for it, and it would be easier to do like magic and the creatures and things like that. It's like just do it in animation and don't try to make it something that it's not. And I know there's this kind of this pushback because animation is so expensive but if you do it well, I think you're totally gonna make your money back. I even think, because there's been people I've talked to, like, I took my mom or I took my grandma or whatever to the Mario movie. So maybe someone who doesn't necessarily know everything about it, but even people who don't really know what the Easter eggs are or anything, there's enough there that they can understand it and have a good time. Is kind of what I've been hearing from people who, like, I went with this person or this person who who never played the games, doesn't really know the lore or anything, but they still got it and they still had fun. So I think even the quote unquote normies would enjoy it. So
yeah,
Yeah.
And
I would
also,
consider myself more
yeah.
normie,
hmm
slightly above normie, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
So.
I think enough people know the basics. So it's like Mario and Luigi, they're brothers. They save a princess, and mushrooms are involved. And there's
Mhm.
Bowser. There's a big spiky guy who causes problems. I think, and you probably know the look of it. That's another point in favor of doing animation. Like, if you know the look of the game and the look of the characters, you can do that easier in animation than you can do in live action. So like even like general movie going audiences are like, oh, I get this. This is from this game that I saw, on a shelf in Walmart or something like that. So yeah. Also, I'm just a sucker for good animation. And
Yeah.
like, come on, let's do this. Oh, anyway, but yeah, and we walked out of the theater. Lottie didn't do quite as well sitting through it, but then again, she's 3, so he
Was
just
that her
wanted to
first
run
movie?
That was her first movie,
Ah.
minus the one we went to the drive-in when she was a tiny baby, and I had to take her with us because I was still nursing. We went to the drive-in, so that one doesn't count. But yeah, that was her first movie. She did fine. There were a couple of times I had to take her out because she was just not being good. But Alex, he sat through the whole thing. There were a couple of times, like when Luigi first landed in the Hell Forest, and he got a little scared. He's like, "Mommy, I'm scared." And he's sitting right next to me. So I'm like, okay, well, here, snuggle with me. Look, Luigi's there, and Mario's gonna take care of it. It's gonna be fine. I know it's scary, but we're gonna be okay. And he was fine, and he laughed at all the parts that it's so much fun to watch kids experience movies like this, especially something like this for him where it's Mario and it's on the big screen, and you just see the big old grin on his face, and he gets all giggly and jumping in his seat. And it was so much fun. And as we left the theater, he just kept saying, "I love the Mario movie," over and over and over again. "I love the Mario movie." And like, "Oh, Alex, it's like, what was your favorite part?" "I love the Mario movie." It's like basically everything. So yes, we will definitely be owning it. And Jared and I are good because I, like I said, I had to take Lottie out a couple of times. So there are a few parts that I missed, not a lot, but enough that I'm like, I want to go watch it again. He's like, well, we're gonna go see it again this week, just us, not the kids.
Parental date night. 2 thumbs
yes.
up.
Yes, the grown-ups, the mom and dad are going on a date night, and we're gonna go see the kids movie.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
No, that is exactly how we roll. So if you have not seen the Super Mario Brothers movie, or if you just want to go see it again, just go see it. It's great, and it feels like we've kind of had a bit of a slog through animated movies lately in theaters. Like nothing really has stood out. I guess Puss in Boots too, but I haven't seen that one yet. People talking about that, but I'm like, it feels like it's been so long since I've had a really good one, and this one hit all the right notes, and it just felt good. It's just a fun, feel good movie. The whole family will love it, or if you're an older person who grew up with Mario games, you'll love it. If you love good animation, you'll enjoy it. It's a fun one, and it's not that long. So if you're worried about time, it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's quick.
82 minutes. Yeah, I could see how gush about it.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back.
Everybody I know that's seen it has had nothing but good things to say about it. So.
Anyway, anything else we want to comment on?
I think that's it.
Okay, cool.
Now we need a group trip to Universal.
Yeah.
Yes. Going to Nintendo
Dear
World.
powers that be.
Yes.
We will cover Universal. We'll cover Nintendo Land. in a review if you send us there. And can I take my 5-year-old because I would feel bad going without him.
Yeah. It's like between all of us adults with smartphones and various social media platforms, believe us, we'll have it covered.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Anyway, well, if any of our listeners want to chime in on their thoughts on the Super Mario Brothers movie, or the live action one from '93, or any aspect of the Mario franchise, and believe me, there is a lot of it, and we could barely scratch the surface. Send us some feedback with your point of view. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, which is thefivishfangirls.com, and that has links to all of our social media, which you can leave comments on things like Facebook and Instagram and such. You can also find ways to support the podcast through Patreon and our merch shop. And you can download the podcast wherever you like to get podcasts. Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. And as always, we thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and thank you for being there and listening to all of our craziness, because we have fun doing it, and we're glad that people have fun listening to us. So hope you all just best wishes for everyone. And don't take the poison mushroom.
Yeah.
Or the mini mushroom, unless you're like going through a really tight spot and need to be tiny to get.
Yeah. I don't like mushrooms, so not a problem.
I think it was hilarious in the movie that Mario doesn't like mushrooms. I'm like, oh, you poor soul.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, if you get hit, you lose the power up. Well, apparently if you vomit up the mushroom that you got the power up from, you lose the power up. So
yeah. Maybe we'll just go straight to the fire flower and call it good.
There you go, yeah.
Apparently the fire flower is like a candle on a birthday cake. It can just be blown out.
Yes. Anyway. With that,
all right. Now with that, we're gonna hop in a pipe and go somewhere and sign off for this week.
That's what Lottie calls them. Oh, this is Christy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Whoa, peaches, 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 I love you. Thank you for listening to the Fiveish Fangirls. Please visit thefivishfangirls.com for details on how to further support the show, along with information on our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back. We love our Fiveish fam and appreciate all of your feedback, shares, and encouragement. Remember to keep letting your geek flag fly.